You're listening to The Crypt, and this week's special guest is horror icon Michael Berryman. Movie credits to his name include One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, The Hills Have Eyes, Ed Gein, The Butcher of Plainfield, The Devil's Reject, and the new, highly anticipated movie Death House, to name but a few. So you're so welcome to the show, Michael.
Oh, good to be on board, kid. Thank you.
Well, firstly, I want to ask you about, you were born with a very rare condition. So could you educate us on that and tell us how that led to your first part in a movie?
Yes, of course. In 1948, I was born with multiple birth defects. I had to have a craniectomy because my skull was fused. I had no teeth, fingernails weren't happening, no sweat glands, no ability to dissipate body heat. The ends of my toes and fingers are just basically past my nipples. My father was a world-renowned brain surgeon and neurologist, Sawney Bean. He graduated from USC School of Medicine. He was probably the top person in the Western Hemisphere on EEGs, echoencephalogram, nerve conductivity, things of that nature. However, he went on a secret mission to Nagasaki and Hiroshima after they dropped the bombs. Being a brain surgeon and Navy doctor, they wanted to see with the lab experiment, what happened.
Yeah.
And I saw pictures that he sent home. I don't have them anymore, but pictures of vaporized human images against walls from two bombs.
Oh my God.
So he was at ground zero right after they dropped the bombs. So as we know in physics and in science classes, that radioactivity doesn't just linger; it perpetuates. Long story short, he came home glowing. I have an older sister. I was the second born. I was a premature birth. Children's Hospital performed the craniectomy, saved my life. I've had a lifetime of wonderful blessings, great people experiences, but also medically a lot of very severe challenges. So that gave me a different look. And as a child growing up, I had a friend who had polio, and he wore metal braces. And when children were mean to him, I would go up to the parents and say to them, and I'm talking like 8, 9, 10-year-old me,
yeah,
parents and grown-ups, that they're bad parents because they're not teaching their children manners. I learned humanity and compassion quite early through my Nana, my mother's mother, my grandmother, and my great aunt, who was also a nurse. And my father, I used to go with him on house calls, and he would show me at sanitariums and various hospitals where people had situations that were quite compromising to their potential future and having quality of life. His point was very much so that, we all had challenges from day to day, and we should all actually appreciate the Hippocratic Oath and take care of one another.
Yeah, exactly.
He said, I had left the University of California. I had ran out of money in 1972, had a minor in art history, pre-veterinary science, and I was basically going to homestead in Alaska. I went back to Venice Beach, California, where I grew up in Santa Monica, surfer, all that good stuff, and had a little tiny plant shop, like an arty-farty hippie store. One day, an older gentleman, very, very dignified, walked in, and he said the following, "Are you an actor?" And I said, "No, I'm me, and I'm going to go to Alaska, and I got this store. Can I help you? You want to buy some artwork from a local place?" He said, No. Here's my business card. I want you to be in my movie. And I laughed, and I said, "Really?" I said, "Well, I know a lot of actors that work for Disney and whatnot through my parents." And I said, his name is George Powell. And I said, "George, do you think I actually want to have more attention to how I look? I would rather be out in the woods with critters and people with feet of dirt, clay, really down-to-earth people. I've been a logger and all kinds of stuff."
Yeah.
And the last thing I want, George, is more exposure to prying eyes and people that will try to, judge you.
Yeah, of course.
He said, "Please be in my movie." And I said, All right. He says, "Look, I'll get you a Screen Actors Guild card. I'll write the letter of introduction. You work 2 days. You'll have maybe $500 after you pay your dues." And I go, all right. I said, "Well, what's your movie about, George?" And he said, "Well, it's called Doc Savage, The Man of Bones." And I had read some of those little pulp novels. They go, "Oh, wow, that's pretty cool." who's playing Doc Savage? And he goes, well, the blonde Tarzan, Ron Ely. I go, I love his work. And I said, wait a minute. Do you know who you are? You produced the War of the Worlds and the Time Machine.
Unbelievable.
Into the center of the earth. And at that point, he just sort of squeezed my hand and smiled and said, please just call my office. So I did.
That is such an amazing story. And to think you're this guy who isn't even pursuing a career in acting, and then the second project you do, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, wins Academy Awards. Yeah. It's one of the best loved cult movies. And then, of course, working with Jack Nicholson, Christopher Lloyd, Danny DeVito, that must have been an amazing experience.
It was astoundingly amazing. I don't have enough adjectives to give it its due. But yes, I got a phone call. I had worked for George for 2 days, and I was packing up my four-wheel drive Dodge Power Wagon. I'm getting ready to homestead in Alaska. Had the paperwork for the federal government, everything. And I got sidetracked because I had another phone call. And the phone call was from Michael Douglas's office in the Culver Studios, where they took up an office to do pre-production for Cuckoos Nest. And I said, who is this? And he said, this is Joel Douglas. I'm working with my brother Michael and Milos Forman, and we're doing One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest with our executive producer, Saul Zantz. And I go, really? He said, yes. He said, just can you meet us at Culver Studio this afternoon and have a meeting, and Jack Nicholson will be there. And I go, okay. So I went, and then I realized the reason I got the phone call was because George Powell, who discovered me, and I always kept my promise to George. He always said, if anybody ever asked you, tell him that George Powell discovered you. And I said, so there you go. Thank you, George. That was the same casting director that was casting for Cuckoos. So a little bit of serendipity. Oh, but I left one little important point out. I believe in serendipity, and I believe in spirit. My point is, I had a friend that I went to grammar school with, and when I left college, before I opened up Little Shop, I received a phone call from Mark Kessler. He was a brilliant, super realist painter. He painted like if you had a macro lens in photography and you're taking pictures of nature, he could do it. He could paint a scene inside of a walnut shell that would just captivate you. He's very brilliant. His house burned down in a fire in Washington State. Oh. And he said, I'm at a neighbor's house, me and my wife. Our insurance company, we took the money, we bought all our supplies. I have a foundation in one wall, and I have to be out of here before my neighbors come back from vacation and the rainy weather comes. Can you help me hammer a nail? And I go, sure. So I hitchhiked from Venice Beach to Berkeley, California, picked up another friend I knew since grammar school, and we drove up in a VW bus, listening to all that wonderful music from the 70s. Mm. And in 7 weeks, we were putting the roof on Mark's house. It was beautiful. However, what got me back to California was the fact that I was working on an old pickup truck, and I didn't get seriously injured, but I got a little bit burned when the truck backfired. We were working on the carburetor, and it squirted a little gas on my shirt, and my shirt caught fire.
Oh, God.
After that, I figured, I don't know, I think I'll go back to California. Mm. Well, I went back that afternoon, and that's how I wound up getting back to California. And that's what put me in the right intersection of time and space to meet George Powell. When I went to the meeting at Culver Studios, there was everybody there, and I asked them questions, and they told me that Kirk Douglas had wanted to play McMurphy in the film, but no studio, even in Kirk's heyday, no one thought that mental illness was a very interesting story to tell. Well, so Kirk got too old. His son took over the rights for the screenplay, and Ken Kesey signed off because Ken Kesey kept sending them 300 pages of not a script, a novel. And Ken Kesey wanted the story to be through the eyes of the chief, Keith Bromden, which is the way the play was. Mm-hmm. Woody Strode play Chief Bromden, and William Devane on stage theater production. He played McMurphy. It was fabulous. But through the vehicle of Nicholson's star character and star power, that's what kind of got the green light to do the film in the manner in which we did. And we were hoping Ken would visit the set, but he was pretty upset that it was not through the eyes of the chief, which I can understand.
And of course, Jack Nicholson had done Easy Rider and all at that point.
Well, Jack was, everyone was terrific to work with. It was like a family. I worked 6 days a week, 12 to 14 hours a day for 127 days. And when we packed up and we all went to our homes, it was amazing what we did, but it was also bittersweet because we had these wonderful friends, and over the years, it's an extended family, and over time we run into each other at shows, and it's a blessing every way you look at it.
Well, before I move on to The Hills Have Eyes, one of the reasons I love you as a horror icon is you're such a compassionate person. You mentioned there about helping your friend rebuild his house, and you work with wolf conservation, safe houses for women. Could you tell listeners a little bit about that side of your life?
Yes, of course. Like I said, when I was young, my father took me to hospitals to see people in more serious conditions and more debilitating conditions than I had. It was for me to understand not just empathy, but appreciation.
Yeah.
My father one day looked at my report card. He said, "You can get better grades. You have a good brain. I have seen it."
Oh. How many parents can say that to you?
Very few. Moving from that cornerstone of understanding humanity moving forward, and going to hospitals to see my father visit patients, to have him tell me this person has a brain tumor, it's inoperable, or they're going to come down with like Muhammad Ali was one of my father's patients. He had to for Manila, not to go to Manila, please, because his EEG said, this could be compromising to your health. So I started to see the world through how it really is. And as I went through life, I've had a lot of, I volunteered a lot. Volunteered scuba diver for the sheriff department in the county where I went to college, for boat safety. You're out putting around on a boat and reminding people to be safe. And occasionally, one time I had to go, help them to find someone that had drowned. So real life can affect us every day. Mm-hmm. Well, it does. And I remember when I was doing The Crow with Brandon Lee, in my wardrobe fitting one day, Paul Newman was sitting opposite me at a table. We got to talking about what we're talking about now, and he mentioned to me a group called the Hole in the Wall Gang and the Bogey Creek Gang, and the Paul Newman food products, and how this organization was co-sponsored and started by General Schwarzkopf and Arnold Palmer and Paul Newman. So I made the phone call, and I got involved with his camps in Florida, where they find families with children in need. They have people housed at their home. They invite the entire family out, put them in a nice little cabin, and for 3 or 4 days, the parents realize that they are going to have their children's surgeries paid for by this wonderful charitable organization. And they learn everything they need to know about the child's condition, how it will get better, and how perhaps it might be compromised in the future. Yeah. We work with the children also in a very honest and compassionate manner. I've also lived at a wolf sanctuary, Wolf Mountain Sanctuary in Southern California for many, many years. I visit as often as I can. 2 of our wolves as pups were raised to be wary of humans, machinery, airplanes, guns, etc. And they were released in Yellowstone in the reintroduction program. I wanted to be a veterinarian, so of course animal non-kill shelters, all of that works. A lot of my fellow actors are involved in charities of that nature. Bob Barker, he was a television icon, and he would always make mention of that which was important, which is to spay and neuter your pets. So my point is, if we have awareness, it's all a good thing. Now, I also have worked with friends in law enforcement over the years. I did some security work with some famous household people, which I choose not to mention at this particular point. Mm-hmm. But I, through some friends of mine in various law enforcement organizations, I've met people that have and sponsor safe houses all around the Northern Hemisphere. for women and children so they remain alive and not dead. Because
Yeah.
once you're battered, I realize you have to disappear and no contact for the rest of your days, regardless. When there's children involved, it makes it a little more challenging depending on the nature of the harmful individual and what sinister concepts they might want.
Mm-hmm.
So those are of interest to me. I was at an airport in Las Vegas and met two ladies, and one was upset, and we had a conversation. I said, well, here's a phone call. I can make a phone call. You speak with them. Here's pen and here's paper. You do exactly as they tell you, but you don't do exactly as they tell you. Your safety could be compromised, but you can trust them with your life.
Yeah.
These are the kinds of people that I associate with and that really make a difference.
Well, fair play to you. I think that is so fantastic, because I'm a strong believer in paying it forward and helping anyone we can in any way we can. Do you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
If we all pitch in, we can get a lot done.
Well, that's it. We can.
My Nana used to say about selfishness, it's me, my, mine. Well, kind of a very small circle of interaction.
Yeah, very true.
It's a lonely life.
Now, you mentioned there as well about starring in The Crow with Brandon Lee. I only found this out recently. I didn't know that at all about you, and that those scenes were deleted. Could you tell us a bit about them? Your role in that?
Yes, the original story written by James O'Barr had to deal with the Skull Cowboy, who he and his fiancée had been murdered. And the Skull Cowboy was protected by he was contacted in the netherworld with the spirit guide, which was the Crow, to come back and to kill the ones who killed you both, and then you will be reunited with your beloved. Mm-hmm. Those are some lines that I gave to Brandon Lee that we filmed that are deleted because after he got shot and died, we couldn't do the three major scenes where the three times the Skull Cowboy entices and beckons him to move onward. And that was very sad, but he was a lovely gentleman. It was a pure privilege to be his friend and to work with him for the few weeks that I knew him.
It was so tragic.
Brilliant story. Safety is very important. In my personal opinion, in the state of North Carolina, at the time we were filming, it became knowledge to me that it was a right-to-work state. And what that means is after so many weeks of contracted labor from an outside person from Los Angeles who was an expert with weapons, armorer, they call them, after so many weeks they could release him and hire a local person. The local person that they hired, in my opinion, overlooked a little piece of shrapnel. Oh. It was an accident, but you can't play with guns. And you have to really, really not be rushed. And I believe that those conditions led to the situation that created the end of Brandon Lee's life.
And you always hear so many people giving out about health and safety regulations now, but that just shows how important they are to follow these regulations.
Absolutely. There's a reason. I know there are some people that don't think labor unions are important, and labor unions I took courses in college about AFL, CIO, etc. Yes, there are times when organizations can be selfish, self-serving, etc. But the base core for the reason to be implemented in the first place is because people are being mistreated.
Exactly.
We don't have to go back far in history to understand. Pick a zip code. I remember when Kathy Lee Crosby supposedly was pretending to care and cry because she found out that her clothing line was made in Bangladesh or someplace by children shackled to sewing machines, and maybe in Indonesia or something. Really?
Yeah.
Come on. It's a no-brainer. I could talk for months on this, but bottom line is safety is important.
That's it. It should never have happened.
On a movie with Pia Zadora, it's a musical comedy called The Voyage of the Rock and Roll Aliens. And they had a 4x8 sheet of plasterboard. And an actor's supposed to stand on the other side, and then a real chainsaw, cuts through it in an arc around his body. And I says, are you kidding me? You get a stunt over. Oh, no, it's safe. He won't move. You don't know that.
Exactly.
It was so dangerous. And then when the guy went to put the chainsaw together, he bought a brand new one, a big one. And I'm an expert logger. So when I saw this big 300-pound, nice guy putting this chainsaw together and trying to get it ready because the director and everybody's going, come on. This will be a great shot. Sure. And I told the actor, I said, number one, I wouldn't do it. Number two, if you're going to do it, if you move anything you move within where the chainsaw is, it will be removed. So I think it's foolish. I wouldn't do it personally. They could do it in post and impose you on that without putting you at risk. I said, this is extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
So that was my 2 cents. The guy's getting ready to start up the chainsaw, and I had like about a 3.5 foot bar. And I says, excuse me, sir, if I may say something. He says, yeah, what's up? I says, if you fire that chainsaw up right now, the chain's going to jump off the bar. It's brand new. Everything's brand new and sharp. And it's going to wrap around your arm, probably cut your arm off. He goes, what do you mean? I said, well, let me show you something. You have the chain on backwards.
Oh, good God.
There's things called drivers. And so, now, these things are supposed to hook into these sprockets. And because you have it on backwards, it's going to jump out. And it's going to fall off the bar. And you're going to have about 6 feet of chain flapping around with the razor-sharp edges.
Oh, my God. And obviously, he listened to you.
Anyway,
he still has his arm. Oh, my God. Shows safety first. Well, then, I want to move on then to The Hills Have Eyes. So,
yes.
Considering your condition prevents the formation of sweat glands, how tough did that make it shooting in the desert? Were you there like 4 or 5 months shooting the movie?
No, we were there for about 3.5 weeks.
Oh, was it? See, don't believe everything you read on Google.
Well, it was hot in the daytime and cold at night. At the night, it was easier for me. In the daytime, I had to hide. I mean, drinking water doesn't really cool my brain or body down, but I kept in touch with my medic, and I said, look, we need bags of ice. Put them on my jugular, my neck, under my armpits, and in my groin. I have to stay in the shade, air conditioning in the car. We didn't have a big budget, but I managed, and I would never do it again because the condition gets more and more severe. But working with Wes and Susan Lanier and Dee Wallace, we had a wonderful time, and Wes had that brilliant sharpness of image. He knew how far to push things. He knew how to edit. And the movie's pretty flawless. I mean, it stands on its own merit for over 40 years. So,
oh, yeah. It's fantastic.
He was a super calm, intelligent, wonderful gentleman.
Gone way too soon.
It is. We're only here for a short time. In Los Angeles, in the San Fernando Valley, they had drive-in movie theaters. So our 2 producers, Peter Locke and Barry Kahn, and my director, Wes Craven, talked me into dressing up like Pluto and going to the drive-in. And then they said, go scare some people.
Oh.
Last thing I remember, a guy got out of his car and he said, you scared my girlfriend, and he chased me with a baseball bat.
Oh, my God.
And I'm running, it's dark, and I'm yelling. I finally see headlights, and they pull the van up, and Wes Craven is at the side of the van with the door slid open with his hand out saying, grab my hand, run. And I jumped in the van, and the guy's cursing at us, and we go to a diner, and we sit down and order some, something to eat, and we're all quiet, and then we go, I think we have a hit.
Oh, my God, that is mental. What a very cool story. Is it true, because now, after seeing you weren't in the desert for 5 months, is it true that The Hills Have Eyes was based on the story of Sawney Bean? He was the head of a cannibalistic family in Scotland.
Yes. Yes, that's true.
Oh, that is true. And for listeners who don't know about him, it was in the 13th century, and they lived in a cave, and most of the family was born through incest. And they reportedly killed over 1,000 people. That is crazy.
That's a pretty busy work schedule.
It is a pretty busy work. They were hungry.
One of my favorite comedians, Eddie Izzard,
Yeah.
Like, let's see, what do we do today? Kill, eat, cook, tidy up, kill. I mean, it seems preposterous. I know history pretty well, and we could flip a few pages. And my point is this. A lot of horror these days, I think, is just gratuitous violence. It's nothing more than a violent video game for 15-year-old prepubescent young boys.
The whole shock torture porn thing.
Thank you. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And I won't name some names, but there's some big names that are very popular, and I've met them, and I've chosen not to do their movie.
Would you get an awful lot of requests now for, because I find there's an awful lot of, up and coming directors now who be coming of age, who would have grown up on your movies and Wes and Kane Hodder and everything. Would you get an awful lot of requests from people like that just starting out?
Yes, quite often.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just got back from Tupelo, Mississippi for a convention. We're like a traveling band of gypsies. We run into each other at conventions throughout the year and over the years, and we've lost a few of our friends, Mr. Booker, for instance, and others. Bottom line is, a story, for me, a story and a character has to have an arc. There has to be a challenge. I'm not going to just go, I'm scary, I will kill you, and crush you. Who cares? I mean, every time I've gotten killed off in a movie, I've deserved it. But if you don't have a strong enough villain, then the hero has an easier challenge, to get past their fear, whatever. So a theme is important, and good writing is really critical.
Of
course, another thing that's really important is good food on the set.
Oh, yes, always. You're a foodie, aren't you?
Really important.
Well, come here. I had John Snyder on the show last year. I reviewed Smothered from.
I have not seen it.
Have you not?
So I can't. Well, no. Honestly, when we do a movie, they're always supposed to send us a DVD when we're done, and 90% of the time they never do. But I've never seen the whole movie.
Well, it was very good. I can tell you that.
Oh, well, thank you. It was kind of it was a pretty disorganized production. It was a little odd in some manners of professionalism, in my opinion.
Right.
And my other actors will say the same thing. I won't go into details, but if you're going to do a production, I don't care if it's a 1-day shoot or a 100-day shoot. You better have your ducks in your row, because actors that are professional, there are certain things over the years that you expect. A clean hotel, decent food, maybe rehearsal with camera, maybe running lines even. That's a great idea.
Oh, none of that happened.
Oh, we had 2 weeks of rehearsal with major scenes and camera blocking and lighting with Cuckoos Nest.
On the set of Cuckoos Nest, you learned an awful lot because you asked loads of questions to learn about, what goes on behind the camera.
Yes, I did. I would ask various people what their job was. For instance, people that were putting the tape on the floor and taking a tape measure and putting it up to your eye. Continuity lady that has the big book with everybody's every take and which one's good, which one's printed, which one's not. All that stuff is. So if you want to be a director, you better learn everybody else's job first. Then you'll be a better leader.
Another movie you've recently done with a whole host of horror icons is Death House, which is due for release soon. Could you tell me about your character in that?
Well, honestly, I worked one day. My character is there's a prison where they have the worst of the worst of the worst. And down into the depths, there's Kane and I think Sid Haig and myself, and we all represent different evils. And I think I have a big claw on one of my hands. We convinced Kane's character that he will be really rewarded if he helps us escape. And then, of course, we let him know that we deceived him. The director is an up-and-coming guy. I like his efforts, but I have not seen the movie.
Yeah.
They said they would send me a DVD, and they never did, so I haven't seen the movie. I couldn't really tell you much about it.
Well, yeah, they just put up on their Facebook page this week that the release date is coming soon, so I'm looking forward. It's one I've been really looking forward to seeing.
I hope it's. I haven't seen it. I hope the editing is tight. I mean, he's posted a lot on my Facebook page, so like I said, I hope it's really cool. But the movie that I would like to really push, there's a magazine called Rue Morgue. There on the cover is me as the cadaver and Fred Kohler, and it says, Andrew Getty's The Evil Within, the tragic story behind the movie few have seen and why you should see it. And this is the movie we did 10 years ago. It was in post-production for over 6 years. Andrew made it with his own money, passed away last February. It's brilliant. It's old school, excellent cinematography. It's based on nightmares. and all of the special effects and things that happen are practical, almost zero CGI.
Excellent. Sounds fantastic.
It has a few flaws as far as maybe some dialogue or maybe some story arcs. But overall, it's quite brilliant. It's very beautiful to look at. I highly recommend The Evil Within. If you're into horror or just fantastic imagery or some of the most brilliant dialogue I've ever heard. It stars Sean Patrick Flannery. He has a brother, Fred, played by Fred Kohler, and then Dina Myers is in it. And Matthew McQuarrie actually has a scene that Andrew let him write his own dialogue. Matthew McQuarrie, of course, was tiny in House Rejects.
Yeah. And
he was in Big Fish and a few other things. Lovely gentleman. He passed away about years ago. But it's a real work of passion, and The Evil Within is really, really... It's on Amazon, and I think it's on Prime. I highly recommend it.
Excellent. I'll have to check it out. It sounds good. I love anything with nightmares.
Oh, this is absolutely beautiful. There's an opening sequence. We filmed it in Andrew's four-story in his mansion. There's an opening sequence in the opening scenes where Dennis is... you hear him talking. He's in a dark room. He's in bed. And he goes, he's here, me. I bring nightmares.
Oh.
Gabber. I'm sitting in the rocking chair in the corner. You can barely see me. The next thing you know, I'm on top of the bed. I'm on top of him. I roll him over. The camera's looking at Dennis's face. I'm straddling him. And it's just the most creepy character in the world. I hold up in my hand above his head a rolled up zipper with needles. I let it roll down. I start to attach it to his brow, and I attach it all the way down to his waist. Now the camera's up, looking at me on top of him. I unzip his body, and I climb inside of it and wear it like a coat.
Oh, my God. That just sounds awesome.
That was not CGI.
That's what I love, though. I love the practical special effects. I say that in nearly every interview I do, but way better than
Tom
CGI.
Savini, we did like a brilliant body latex rubber suit that looked just like him.
Oh, Tom worked on that as well?
No, he did not. We consulted with Tom, because I lived at Andrew's house for over a year, and we came down to visit quite often, and I actually introduced him to Tom, and we had phone calls. So Tom lives back east.
Then, of course, as well as horror, you've been in quite a few comedy roles too. What would be some of your favourites?
Comedy, of course, is the Motley Crue smoking in the boys' room, playing the principal. That was lovely.
Yeah,
the
wig.
Got to play the X-Files. It's serious drama. Loved it. Comedy also. Tales from the Crypt. I've got a lovely role in a movie called Auntie Lee's Meat Pies with Maria.
Yeah.
So that's a good role. Brutal, good role in that. Below Zero with Eddie Furlong is a fun one. The Piz the Door movie, The Voyage of the Rock and Roll Aliens, is a musical comedy.
Another thing I didn't know was that you played the devil in 2 episodes of Highway to Heaven with the great Michael Landon.
Yes. Yeah, Michael was a perfectionist. Michael was very disciplined, a wonderful, wonderful guy. Yeah.
And a big horror fan.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Well, he wanted to do another series, but he passed away before he could, and he was going to have us come on board and work with him on that. But again, we never know what tomorrow brings. So, but Michael Landon was old school, old Hollywood. The real deal. No BS.
A gentleman.
You better be prepared. Yeah, you show up. He only hires the best people. Working for Michael Landon, that means he's already done his homework. He knows that you can bring it on board. I just finished about a month ago season 4. I'll be in 2 to 3 episodes of Z Nation.
Oh, really? That's one. I haven't watched that yet. I heard it's really good.
Very, very good. It's very good. It started its 4th season, and I play one of the billionaires. I am a scientist that helped create the vaccine with Murphy's blood, and there's trouble in paradise, so to speak. But it's a really good show. I just wrapped that up 2 weeks ago.
I'll have to check that out. Well, Michael, before I let you go, is there any other upcoming projects you'd like to mention?
Well, the most recent, of course, is Z Nation. And then anyone listening, please check out Andrew Gady's Evil Within. Those are the two I'm pushing right now. They're incredible. Aside from that, I would just say please visit my Facebook page. I apologize, I can't accept any more friends. I'm maxed. But on my page, my feed, it's just a headshot of me from below zero. That's my page. Official Michael Berryman page, I don't know who that is. My page is obviously me. And I only post things that are uplifting. People taking care of animals. I posted one just the other day. I have stuff that I post on my Facebook page that will make you laugh, make you think, make you feel, make you sad, make you happy. Excellent. And also inspire you and those around you to make the world a better day. That's what it's all about.
Well, I think that's the perfect note to finish up on. Michael, it's been such a pleasure having you on, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to talk to me.
That's a pleasure, and thank you for doing all that technical computer stuff, because I'm old school. I still have a flip phone.
You're probably safer to stay old school.
Nothing wrong with old school.
Exactly. But thanks so much, Michael, and hopefully we'll chat again soon sometime.
Travel well, be safe, and wear a smile, because tomorrow's a new day.